Welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Alton. On this episode, we're going to be talking with International Blues Challenge winners, Chad Elliott and Catherine Severing-Fox. The Weary Ramblers are here. They're going to be jamming out for us. We're going to talk about all the things that they have going on. They've won so many awards, it's ridiculous. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. Welcome to the Guitar Department. We are back, and I'm sitting here once again with our good friends, the Weary Ramblers, Catherine Severing-Fox, Chad Elliott. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing good.
So much has happened since the last time you were here. Okay, so you guys came on the first time. Your album hadn't yet come out, if I'm not mistaken. So why don't we just start there?
Okay.
This is from the article that I wrote about you guys. Your debut album, Weary Ramblers, spent 7 weeks atop the contemporary folk album charts, according to the Roots Music Report. The song Pretty Lights of Denver was all the way to #1 on the contemporary folk, and Iowa charts. Two others, Sweet Hazel Green and Medicine Creek, were in the top 10 at the time. You had Pieta Brown in your Hidden Road, which was also nominated for several awards, and at the time you were under consideration for a Grammy. Since then, winners of the 2026 International Blues Challenge. Congratulations, by the way. Chad, it doesn't say this on here, but you also won Best Guitarist.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Winner of the 2025 Josie Music Awards, Americana Song of the Year. Overall grand prize winners of the 2022 International Acoustic Music Awards, as well as the winners of Best Country and Bluegrass category, and finalists for the Best Group and Duo. Winners of the 2025 Iowa Blues Challenge in the solo duo category, winners of the 21st International Annual Acoustic Music Awards Best Group or Duo, 2026 Global Music Awards silver medal winners for Americana and Duo categories. I had to flip the picture there. Semifinalists in the 2024 International Songwriting Competition, semifinalists in the 2025 Unsigned Only Music Awards, nominees for the 2025 Music Awards for Josie Music Awards for Duo of the Year Americana and Music Video of the Year Performance-Focused Group or Duo. Your album Driftwood was number 72 on the Americana charts. Memphis You and Me is at number 155 on the Americana charts. He's just started charting, right? You announced this 2 days ago or something like that. It premiered on the Alt Country album charts at number 16, and you're now number 4 on the Bubblin' Up list of the Americana Music Association's album charts. And just yesterday, you announced that you were endorsed by Fishman Electronics, which is the type of amp that we use here on the Guitar Department. When I wrote the article for Iowa Public Radio, one of the things I joke about, and this is actually true, is that every time I would submit it for editing, they'd send it back to me and it'd be basically done, and then you guys would announce that you've won another award, and I'd have to work that in. I think the last one was your Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and at that point I was like, okay, I fixed it, get this thing printed before before it's archaic again, you know? What has this ride been like for you guys?
It's really just affirming, I think, you know, all of it. And it's in a lot of different categories, right? So the most recent International Blues Challenge was, of course, specifically in the blues realm. And then some of these other awards have been for Americana. I mean, we just won Best Country Bluegrass Song for the IAMAs. And so, like, it's just affirming to us that our path, the unique path that we've taken, and tried to stay authentic to who we are, which is staying out of the box of a genre, has been working.
Yeah. You can kind of dip from several pots there, but also just the hard work that goes into that, and just constantly telling ourselves, well, you know, just got to keep believing in this thing. And when you get accolades like that coming back, you know, it's pretty affirming, like you said, just to keep rolling forward and keep seeing what's on the next horizon, and also just stop and go, wow, we've done good, this is fun. You know?
Yeah.
Does it have a different energy? Do you guys, because you guys have both been working musicians for a very long time. Chad, your path has actually been sort of in this realm for most of that period, and Catherine, you were an instrumentalist for a lot of that, and really just in the last 5 years or so started writing songs.
Right.
Is there like is the experience wholly new, or is it still sort of the same familiar grind? Does it have a different energy to it, do you feel?
For me, it's definitely, there's a new energy that I've not experienced. And I mean, in the 30 years of doing this feels like a whole nother level. And when you start getting endorsements and things like that, I've not experienced that ever in my career. But also just the multiple levels of awards and different avenues, I not experienced. So I feel like there's a new energy that we're really just. And Catherine, I have got to get her props, all the work she puts in, just doing this, going and calling people. She is doing all that behind the scenes. So that's taken for granted for a lot of young artists that want to see it, that kind of level. They say, you put in the work that we're putting in on the road, but also Catherine's doing all that due diligence on the phone. So, yeah, I just...
So this leads me to a few questions, and we've talked about this a little bit off camera, but because we were joking about, you know, what sort of big things, you know, are next, you know, and what outside of the obvious sort of, you know, Grammy nominations and Super Bowl halftime shows, that type of thing, what would be a dream goal for you guys? The dream phone call to get, whether we talked about it ourselves or not before.
I mean, there are a couple things that come to mind for me. One would be being able to play like Red Rocks or something, you know, or you had mentioned earlier Austin City Limits. That would be incredible. But also being able to maybe open on tour for a large act like I'm With Her. Like we both love them, you know. So there are certain artists that if we got to be on the road with them or even just open a show for them, it would be like a dream come true for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the next level would be sitting around the living room with Alison Krauss and James Taylor, sitting, talking about normal things, you know. That would be
epic.
A dream.
Yeah.
That is life goals right there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Driftwood for a second. So you guys went back to Golden Bear Studio to record this album. You got mandolin legend Sam Bush to play on it. What was this experience like, having Sam Bush come in and getting this album put out?
So that was all kind of a crazy thing. Brian is also just a go-getter, which is great. When we sat down with him the first day, he was like, all right, so other than the obvious of laying down all the layers of everything that you want in your songs, who do you guys want on this album? Any names? Anybody come to mind? And you know, so we're naming off just pie in the sky, you know, people like Billy Strings or whatever. We're like, and then Sam Bush and just Sarah Hall, all these names. And he's like, all right, give me a second. And so he just he just starts emailing and making phone calls, and then we went about our day recording. And then I don't remember if it was that night or if it was the next morning that he was like, y'all, I just got a call back from Sam Bush himself. And he listened to your first record and said he'll do anything you guys want.
Wow.
We're
great.
like, holy smokes. Like, that's, again, affirming, right?
It's a heck of an endorsement.
Little did I know that my aunt and uncle are good friends with Sam Bush. And
we
we could have made this a lot easier.
So wait, did Sam know it was you?
No. So, but then they all ended up talking, and now it's all. Brian ended up sharing that with Sam as well too. So,
so you serendipitously ended up meeting in a completely different way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty cool that he heard the music and based it on that, and then this connection was like, oh yeah, there was something there all along. So it's really cool.
He adds this special energy too, I think. Like we both felt that when he was singing on Memphis. We're like, the second he comes in, there's just like this joy and this.
The third harmony is, he lightens it up. Just.
And obviously his playing is second to none.
Stellar.
Yeah,
So.
he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
For sure. And of course, so are both of you guys, which sort of brings me back to this International Blues Challenge. Now we've interviewed, I've interviewed Matt Woods. Woods and a handful of others who have done this. The other brothers, Eli's been on. What was the experience like for you guys in Memphis?
Incredible. It was incredible. I'd been there before. I've competed in 2013, and I was kind of just going, well, I'm just going to go in with a curiosity, and also like our thing is so tight that we play so much. I was like, if they don't accept what we do, we still do what we do, and it's great. But Catherine, bringing that kind of skill level I knew that was going to be like, oh, blow them away, and but she was also the only fiddle there, which was kind of surprising since blues it was a fiddle instrument, it was a blues instrument, but anyway, that's beside this point. But I went in with a sense of curiosity at how they would accept our type of blues. And the first day we were there to do orientation, the guy who was in charge of the whole Blues Foundation says, "You're not here to compete with each other. You're here to give your best version of your type of blues." And we both looked at each other and go, "Oh, we could do that."
Yeah.
I was less nervous at that point. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, and then after the quarterfinals, the first night. So the quarterfinals happen for 2 nights, and then it's semifinals for 1 night, and then the finals the next. Okay. So the first night of the quarterfinals. After we finished that, 2 of the judges came up to us. They're not supposed to do that. I don't even think I should be saying this.
What are they gonna take
2
you?
people. I'm just gonna say 2 people came up to us, and one wanted to book us for a festival, and another one was just
Giving
saying a lot of
advice,
really kind words and everything. And we looked at each other after we left, and we're like, "That's probably a good sign." I guess like this is good.
Yeah.
But we stayed true to who we are. I feel really good about that. We weren't trying to be more traditional or anything like that necessarily, and it paid off.
Yeah, and I think when we did the Iowa Blues Challenge, we had like Matt Woods. He was one of the judges, but he told us, he goes, "Just be yourselves," and that was the best advice. We just were ourselves, and he was the first one to text me out backstage to congratulate us, saying, "Yeah, good job."
That's awesome. So talking about your kind of blues, it's an interesting sort of blend of styles that you guys bring. Because obviously, if we listen to your albums, it's very folk Americana, and again, not to sort of throw you guys into a category. I wrote a whole article about how we shouldn't be throwing people into categories, but you have a style, and you listen to Driftwood, and it fits that style also. But when you guys do sort of the bluesier things that you do, it's still sort of in that folk Americana style. It's not a straight up, shuffle blues style or anything.
Yeah, although I will say, Chad and I did do some writing, in the months before the Blues Challenge, the initial Iowa Blues Challenge, so that we could get some new material that we felt maybe it still sounds like us, but would align better with the approach. So actually, we do have a shuffle one that we did on our set called Rainy Day Blues that we wrote down in Missouri. But it is still a blend of things, and Driftwood doesn't really have any bluesy tunes of ours on there, so there's nothing on there that we did in our Blues Challenge set. It's all completely different music from that. So
a lot of that, the solo duo category down there, those are typically more into the Piedmont style of blues picking, and that's more of the folk element to it, I think, too. That's the way I like to play as well, like the Mississippi John Hurst. And Doc Watson was a perfect crossover from that folk to blues to country. That's kind of where I feel like I live as a stylist, like playing.
Definitely.
And with the fiddle, it's already like, okay, are they country? Are they blues? Are they like, they have all those things, but we have that swampiness too. So it's kind of we throw everything at them. I think that's one thing that helped us, was every song was a different feel, but it was still us singing our harmonies,
Well, I do have one more question before we get to this, but I'm wondering if you guys could stick around and show us some of the the bluesier, swampier, jammier type stuff that you guys do.
Absolutely.
Before we get to that, though, Chad, you also won Best Guitarist, and those of us who know exactly why. You're a fantastic guitar player and such a unique player. But I could see how, say, a traditional like Eric Clapton blues style player might hear it and go, "Really, Chad Elliott won that?" Huh? So just on behalf of everybody who does know, congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
And I wonder if you could show us the cigar box prize here. We don't have it plugged in, so we can't actually play through it. But
as Matt Isbell is they do Memphis Cigar Box guitars, and it's already I've written several songs on it. We played it live a couple times, and I love the sound of this thing. It's got that swampy feel to it. But yeah, I was pretty thrilled to be able to. I was sitting backstage, and I was like, who did they call? Like, and
oh my
Catherine
gosh.
was like, get out there!
Yeah, I was like, Chad, you won. He's like, what? Like, go on stage, man.
I am, like you said, a lot of people don't think of me as a flashy or lead guitar player or anything like that. I'm really not.
In the Stevie Ray Vaughan sense of the word. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. So I was also curious, who's going to win this? You know, I had no anticipation for that at all. So when they called me, I was shocked, and the other bands were around pushing me out there. I was like, what? Yeah. So, but this thing's a cool little machine. We'll be playing it at our shows more and more.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I was gonna say it's. I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. But if you want to know what it sounds like, you're gonna have to go check out Willie Ramblers. Be sure to check them out everywhere that they're playing. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Simply a Central Iowa treasure. You know what I mean? Central Iowa-based super duo is what I called you guys in the article, and it keeps proving truer every day. So
thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. And yeah, if you guys can stick around and jam out for us, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're Ramblers, everybody.
There's a long dark road up ahead, nowhere to rest our weary heads. Ain't it always the same? The headlights lead the way. There's a long dark road up ahead. There's a man on the side of the road with a sign saying where he wants to go. Ain't it always the same? No one knows the way. There's a man on the side of the road. There's a new moon that gives off no light, makes for the darkest of nights. Ain't it always the same? The moon is to blame, even on the darkest of nights. Thank you.